Ms. Patterson here. Today we are going to count atoms. This is part of our physical science unit. So symbols on the periodic table, we need to look at those first. There's going to be abbreviations for all types of elements. So when you see the periodic table, you see these letters, and these letters all represent an atom. So here I have just H's. H's just represent hydrogen. Be is beryllium. B is boron. So when I write these out in a formula, I know exactly what I have. I know here if I have B, it's boron, it's not beryllium. Beryllium will have a lowercase e. You also notice that the first letter in all of these symbols are capitalized. The second one is always lowercase. And we're going to talk about this more when we start looking at certain formulas. This is very important. I want to make sure, for example, here I have copper, it's C lowercase u. If I had capital C and capital U, I would have carbon and uranium, and that would not be a good mix. So it's very important to make sure you're writing your symbols correctly. So here I have a chemical formula. This is the representation of a molecule. So here I have water. Water has 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, and they're bound together with a chemical bond. So this formula represents that setup of water. So this is shorthand for that molecule or formula. Subscript is going to be this small number right here, this lowercase, very small subset number. This is telling you how many of the atoms you have after it. So here I have a 2 after H. This is telling me I have 2 H's. Here I have oxygen. Notice I don't have anything here. If you don't have a number after a symbol, then you know you just have 1. So here I do not have a number after this, so I know I just have 1 oxygen. If I would have had the 2 after the oxygen and nothing after this, I would have had 1 hydrogen, 2 oxygen. So whatever this is behind represents just that atom. Coefficient is this number right here. This is telling me how many molecules of water I have. So here I have a water molecule. I have 2 hydrogens. I have 1 oxygen. This is saying I have 4 of these. So it would be similar to setting it up like this. I have 4 water molecules all together. Now when you have this, you multiply everything on the other side by your coefficient. And this is why. If I do 4 times 2 is 8. Remember, this is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Again, if I put them all out and label them like this, because remember I have 4 molecules, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many hydrogens do I have? I have 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 8 hydrogen molecules, or 8 hydrogen atoms. How many hydrogen atoms did I have here? 4 times 2 is 8. So this is a shorter version. This is like a quicker step. If you're confused starting out, do this. You'll get the same number. But after a while, you're going to recognize, hey, I just take this number, multiply it by this, and I'm going to get the same thing here. So I have 8 hydrogen atoms. Here, remember, I have 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. How many oxygens do I have when I did my 4 molecules? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So I have 8 hydrogens, and I have 4 oxygens. So if I have something with parentheses, this one always stumps you guys when we get started. This, remember whenever we do processes where I have addition, subtraction, multiplying, if I have parentheses, you do those first. And this is saying that I have this set of molecules 2 times. So everything in here is 2. So that's just like if I did SO4, SO4, I'm going to have everything in here twice. So all you have to do is multiply 2 times this. So this works similar to that coefficient that we had. This is telling me I have 2 molecules here. So multiply everything inside. And what I do, I write the number below it so I don't have to keep coming back and doing multiplication. So remember, if I don't have a number, this is a capital letter, this is a capital letter. So this is its own element. This is sulfur. I have a capital O, so this is oxygen. So these are 2 different atoms. So I have a 1 right here. I can't see it, but I have a 1 right there. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So this is saying within this set right here, just this set right here, I have 2 sulfurs and I have 8 oxygens. Here I have a C with a 2. This does not multiply anything over here. This just pertains to the parentheses, stuff inside that parentheses, that's it. So now I need to figure out what I've got. So now I have 2 carbons, 2. I have 2 sulfurs. I already wrote however many I need, so I don't have to go back and recount. I have 8 oxygens. 2 times 4 is 8, so I already have my total right there, so I just write it right there. So let's look at another one. Again, you're going to do your parentheses first, okay? When you have a coefficient, remember this is a coefficient. Let's ignore that one for right now. We're going to come back to that here in a second. I want to know how many atoms do I have with just this one molecule. So remember, we do parentheses first. So if you want to pause for a second, okay, go ahead and just figure out this part right here. So I multiply, N is capitalized, O is capitalized. So this is its own element. This is its own element. I have a 1 hidden behind this N. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. People like to add these. Don't make it 5. It's multiplying. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. So then I look at this. Okay, so now I have 3 aluminums. I have, remember I've already solved for this. I have 3 nitrogens. I've already solved for oxygen, and I have 6 oxygens. 3 times 2 is 6. But now let's look at our coefficient. Let's go back to that. So now I have 3. Remember, this is saying that I have this molecule 3 times. I already know how many I have in one molecule. So all you have to do is multiply by 3. So I will go 3 times 3 is 9. So I have 9 aluminums. 3 times 3 is 9. I have 9 nitrogens. 3 times 6 is 18. So I have 18 oxygens. Okay. So do this last. Go and just figure out how many I have just for this. And then you multiply that by 3. So I'm going to give you guys time to practice. So pause after each one. I'm going to walk through it and then I'll show you your answer. So here I have a capital H, a capital N, and a capital O. Remember, this is capitalized, so this means this is its own element. This is capitalized. This means this is its own element. So I have a 1 hidden here. I have a 1 hidden here. And then my 3 is after this O, so this 3 is just for this O. So you should have had 1 hydrogen, 1 nitrogen, and 3 oxygen. Okay, try this one. So here I'm going to not do this right now. I want to figure out just for this molecule. This is a capital O, so that N is 1. This oxygen has 2 subscript, so this oxygen is 2. This is a Cl, so this is chlorine. I will never give you carbon and iodine. Okay, so if you've ever seen a capital C and you think it's a capital I, I'm never going to give you that. So this is always going to be chlorine. It's a lowercase l. I have nothing after this, so it's 1. So now I'm going to multiply everything times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, I'll give you a second to do this one. This one here, all I have are carbons, subscripts. I have 14, I have 10, I have 14. And you just multiply everything by 2. You guys see these big numbers and you guys kind of panic for a second. But all you're doing is multiplying. So 2 times 14, or 14 plus 14, is going to be 28. Hydrogens is 20. Oxygens, 28. Okay, try this one. Okay, this one's a little difficult, right? Because you notice I've got a carbon here, but I've got a carbon here because I have a capital H next to it. So I have a carbon here. And then I have hydrogens. I have a capital H and a capital H and a capital H. So I have different hydrogens here. So you need to add all of them up together. So here, carbon, I have 6 and 1. Remember, I have a 1 hidden right there. So 6 plus 1 is 7. I look at my hydrogens. I have 5 and 2 and 1. 8. I have oxygen. I have nothing after this, so that means it's 1. So I have 1 oxygen. So when you have those, make sure you're bundling them all up together. This is set up a certain way to show I have a hydroxyl, that there's a hydroxyl group on it, but that's not what we need to know. We're just wanting to know how many atoms, but this is why we set them up in these, so I know kind of when I'm drawing out my molecule how to draw it out. All right, try this one. Okay, so this one's a little different. I have my parentheses in the front, right? The other one I had on the end, and it doesn't matter. You're still going to do your parentheses stuff first. Remember, this 3 is telling me I have 3 of these molecules here, okay? So all you're doing is multiplying inside, so do that first. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And if you want to, you can always put your numbers here. I have phosphorus, this is a capital O, okay? And then I have a 1 here, so I'm going to have 1 phosphate, okay? I have O, I have 4, so I'm going to have 4. So this is a phosphate group, but phosphorus and oxygen. So I have 1 here, 4 here. So now you just multiply everything by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 12 is 24. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So if you want to do this too, you can do that, and that will help you out. Either way, you just figure out what works best for you. All right, that was it. So that's counting atoms pretty quick. Make sure you're doing your parentheses first. Double check if there's a lowercase letter next to it, then that means it's going to be part of one element. If it's capital next to it, then they're 2 separate elements. That's the big thing that you guys like to kind of get stuck on. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. We'll talk to you later. Bye.